Never been married. 2 daughters, never been married. I do plan to get married because I do see it as a contradiction to have a boys' school teaching respect for black women and not have a queen yourself.
How old are your babies?
23, and my youngest will be 14.
Okay. Thank you, brother.
I think there was a lot of truth to that. And I would say to get started, there's 3 things we should focus on. We need an independent school. We need an independent credit union, because there's enough wealth in Chicago in terms of take-home pay that if we concentrated all of that in the same holding institution, there would be enough capital there to build or rehab some of these institutions that the caller said we already have. A big reason why black people are behind, we do not collectivize our dollars at all. They sit in white banks, and these white banks take black people's money in Chicago and loan to white developers from out of town to come into Chicago and push us out of our own neighborhood. 55% of the homelessness in Chicago are black people. 75% of the people living in shelters in Chicago are black people. If our money was in the same credit union, we would be able to offset a lot of this. So let's start with the black credit union. We definitely need a school to recapture the minds of our children. And the last one is a council of elders. We need a council of elders, because if the elders work together, a lot of the community conflict and differences could be handled if we had that governance structure in place. If you owe me money and you don't want to pay me, I'm taking you to the council of elders. Your child's father don't want to pay the child support, we go to the council of elders instead of running to the white man to solve internal black community problems that a council of elders could take care of themselves. I think a lot of trust could be restored. A lot of transparency could be restored if those over 65 would come together and create some sort of a system and a protocol, bring us back to council of elders.
That makes I get goosebumps hearing that, because I think of Common's words when he said we need the wisdom of the elders and young people's energy.
Yes.
Right? And that is so true. And we get away from both of those things. We
yes.
Discount, but especially our elders. We talked earlier, again, about the big mamas. And it wasn't just, the big mama brought a sense of stability.
Yes.
And that's what you're describing,
yes.
right? Older people, the seasoned people, the mature people help bring a sense of stableness and stability.
Structure and balance.
Thank you. And so again, I just wanted to amen that, because that made me excited. I'd never heard of it phrased that way, Council of Elders. I like that. But again, even if we never get to that point, I think we have to get back to the point of recognizing the wisdom of our elders.
Yes.
and how they can help us. So
yes.
We're right up on the break. It's 4:17. Bernard, Joe, Al Stone, we're going to take your calls next. Please keep your Facebook comments coming. This conversation isn't going anywhere. Dr. Ifatunde has been kind and gracious enough to hang with us for I'm going to tell you how long. Just hang on. He here right now.
That's right.
He ain't going nowhere right now. We even tried to feed him.
Oh, I wanted some chicken. I'm a chicken man too. You notice I ain't even want to look at the chicken.
Yeah.
Because if I see that chicken, I'm gonna break my fast.
We're not gonna do
that. I'm
so wrong. We'll be right back, guys.
Amazing.
Strong,
I'm gonna show you what a player I am. My old co-host is here. I'm gonna have you say hi to her too.
Okay.
You get to be my current and my
all right.
Right. Player. This is good.
It
is a pleasure working with you. Our first time, and it's been a great experience.
Yes, ma'am.
I've dealt with many different individuals, and you always remember your experience with them. So I'll always remember how positive this was.
I appreciate it.
And I want to continue to work with
yes,
you.
ma'am.
My
yes,
children,
ma'am.
I want them to be surrounded by men that have that energy that they need, that information that they need, and that wisdom that they need. Because they are. So I'm divorced. I'm gonna give you my whole story.
Understood.
But I'm divorced, so that damaged them. And then I'm trying to raise them with one side of the story. Dad is involved, but how involved? You know what I mean?
got you.
So we need to put some oomph in there.
I got you.
And your leadership. And influence would help.
Yes.
You know.
For sure.
Is she here?
Yeah, I don't know what she went
That's
to.
another important skill I think that needs to be.
What's that?
Co-parenting.
Oh man.
Oh, yeah.
Woo.
Co-parenting part.
that's a whole. You gotta come on my podcast for that one.
Man, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
And
it's
co-parenting post-trauma.
And see, one of the things that I tell people, even though me and my kid's mother don't get along,
Understood.
I always explain to people, I said, because of my care for my children, I have to a degree,
Tolerate.
make sure that
Yes.
their mother is happy.
Yes.
Because if their mother is happy,
Yes.
especially if she's unhappy with me and what I'm doing or trauma that I may create,
Yes.
it's going to trickle down.
Absolutely.
So it's
Absolutely.
like shooting yourself in the foot.
Absolutely. There are no
It's also-
boundaries.
But it's also like walking on eggshells because now you can't be as expressive, you can't be as involved, you can't be as influential because you have to play chess or checkers all the time.
I got so lucky. My divorce was very volatile after 20 years, but we never had problems with the kids.
Ooh, look at that. That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
See, that needs to be
Never
learned,
had that
though.
issue.
Yes, sir.
We need to. That's a conversation.
Yes, sir.
that needs
It
to be
is.
had amongst.
It is.
Definitely us men. Not that women don't need to have. But
Right.
Like as men, as a
Yeah,
collective,
yeah.
Because
we
you
need to figure out how to
ultimately,
separate our
Yeah.
emotions.
I
from-
agree.
You-
And the reason why it can be so tough for men to separate their emotions from situations is a lot of us were raised by women.
oh yeah,
So we actually engage our women with the same female energy they engage us with. And then we'll say, respect me as a man, but you're acting like me. You see that? So brothers got to balance that out.
wow.
That's my family.
Oh, man. Oh, that's a beautiful family,
My son
bro.
is on one end, the big boy, and then my daughter's on the other.
Oh, man. Look at that.
Yeah,
Beautiful
that's my
family.
mama, and that's his wife. He's married.
Oh, man.
He's married already.
Powerful, man.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah, me and his mom, we're still great
Worked
friends.
it out. Man, that's
Yeah.
good to hear, man.
Divorce was good for us, man.
I feel you.
Like, people don't
Because you
understand it.
can naturally grow apart without
Yeah.
either partner being at fault.
Oh,
And a
yeah.
lot of people don't understand that.
Yep.
If y'all got married at 21, y'all might be in different places about 45.
Yep.
That's okay. You can still be friends.
Here's what I also learned too: the further you are away from the trauma, the less important the details of the trauma become.
I agree. I completely agree.
Yeah, so the details and all that, it's not important anymore. The only thing that's
I agree.
important now is we're divorced.
Absolutely.
That's all that matters.
Absolutely.
And and both of us are so individually happy.
Powerful.
Man, it's great.
Powerful.
I couldn't see that in the moment, right? I couldn't see that. I
I
could
feel you.
anticipate
I
this in
feel
the
you.
moment.
But the growth came.
Yeah.
The growth came.
I'm tight lipped right now.
You'll get there though, mama. You'll get there. You'll get there.
And frankly, you're happy now.
I'm
You're
always happy.
ecstatic, right?
I am.
Thank God.
I'm always happy, but
Yes.
people try to take that from you.
But you can't let people steal your joy.
They can't steal it. It's not available.
That's right.
Well, Dr. Umar, let's talk about something that's been bothering a lot of us here in Chicago. Our public school system.
Ah.
I know everybody just went, oh, okay. I mean, we're seeing literacy rates that in some schools are so low, it's heartbreaking and embarrassing. Kids are graduating without the ability to read fluently, and that's not just a tragedy, it's a setup. And now we look at it as a school to prison pipeline. What are we witnessing here? Because this dysfunction is an abomination to our success and our
It
young
is.
people's success. What say you?
Well, first of all, you can't have failing communities without failing schools. So that's number one. A lot of the problems that we see here in Chicago or any other major predominantly black inner city is the fact that the schools are contributing to the psychopathology and the pathology in the surrounding neighborhoods, right? Then we have to look at the fact that Chicago only has 20% black teachers. It's dropped from 50 to 20 in 10 years, with 54% of Chicago's teachers being white people. And no, I'm not going to sit here and say every white teacher has a problem teaching black kids. I'm not going to say that. But being a former principal and a current school psychologist, I am going to say most white teachers do have a problem with black children because they're not natural stakeholders in the success of our children. And we got to keep in mind that the schools in the black community have to fail in order to protect and safeguard white privilege and white opportunity for the white youngsters who will graduate and then become leaders in the society. If our children are properly educated, they can challenge white people for political and economic control of this city and of this state. The power structure doesn't want that, so they create a system that makes it difficult for black children to exceed. And without a large population of black male teachers, it's going to be very difficult to get black boys focused again.
So
Oh, sorry.
if you don't mind, I just a very obvious question came to mind when you made that statement, the profound statement, by the way, which is this: if you're saying then that the system is broken,
Yes.
that's what I heard you
Yes.
say. Then the question becomes: do we change the system or do we abandon the system?
I would like for black people to abandon the system, because there's enough abandoned schools in Chicago that if we would just take Chicago's Christmas money, 4th of July money, Easter money, and New Year's money, we could buy about 4 or 5 schools and renovate them completely. And then we could pay our teachers to come out of the public school system and teach our children in schools that they own. Remember, for a long period, we couldn't go to these schools anyway, right? We couldn't even go. So let's go back to a time when education was under our control. And here's the biggest piece. A lot of people don't realize when they desegregated the schools in 1954, the Supreme Court, it wasn't to give black children an opportunity. It was because they were afraid that black children's education, despite it taking place in a dilapidated schoolhouse, was excelling that of the white students. Remember, we invented the gas mask before we sat next to white kids. We invented the refrigerated truck before we sat next to white kids. We came up with the technology for a lot of things before school desegregation. So desegregation was not about helping us. It was about controlling black excellence.
And controlling the academics.
Yes.
And what we did was basically we created things out of necessity.
Yes.
Because what we
Yes.
didn't have, we created.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned earlier, this was in between the microphone, when you were talking about you were interested in properties of schools that
Yes.
were located in better quality neighborhoods.
Well, no.
Okay.
In our neighborhood,
In our
but
neighborhood.
better quality school.
Okay.
In
gotcha.
other words, I would see a school in Chicago,
Yeah.
right, and say, this school looks like it's only 5 years old. I want to look in this and see what Chicago public schools are selling this for. And I would be told it's not available for you to look at. And when I say, why can't I look at it? They'll say it's just not available. Truth is, are the good conditioned schools in Chicago, Detroit, they're keeping them for the developers, the white developers. I've never been shown one of these 5 to 10 year recently built quality schools that don't even need much of a renovation. They show me schools with no roof, no back, water all in the basement. Why are you showing me this? It would take me, I might as well tear this down and build from the ground. They never gave me an opportunity to purchase a school in good condition.
What can be done about that? I mean, it sounds criminal to me.
It is criminal.
So what
But
can be
remember,
done
they shut
about
the
this?
schools down to get rid of us, because you cannot gentrify a people out of a neighborhood if the schools are there for their children, because people live around the schools that teach their children. So if we want to get rid of black people out of Chicago, we got to get rid of the schools that teach their children. This is all part of the gentrification wave. And this is why black people in the predominantly black neighborhoods in Chicago, they can't even get a bank loan in order to purchase a piece of property in a low income neighborhood. Black people are paying the highest rent in the worst neighborhoods in Chicago. The highest rent in the worst neighborhoods in Chicago. And a big reason for that, I'm going to go to the elected officials. They're not putting enough pressure on these banks to stop practicing economic racism and discrimination against black people. How can you be paying the highest rent in the worst neighborhood and nobody's doing anything about it?
Wow, let's get back to the phone lines. This has been
right.
very, very powerful. Bernard,
Hey,
on
Bernard.
line 7. Thank you for calling.
Hey.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you.
On the reparations piece, 3 major points in my reparations platform. As you already said, money should not be at the top of the list because money expires. The American dollar is a promissory note that is not backed to any mineral resource. It's not attached to gold, silver, copper, or anything else. So why should we accept restitution for the worst crime in human history in a form of currency that doesn't have a mineral equivalent? That would be criminal, number one. That would also be betrayal of our ancestors. Number 2, for reparations, black people should control all black music. Nobody else can sell it, produce it, market it, or publish it. All black music is under the control of black people. And the reason for that, America makes more money off of black music than almost anything else she sells. So if we can control our music, we'll be good. Number 2, our creations. All black inventions become permanent, patents of Black America. If anybody wants to use anything we've ever invented, they have to pay us. And the third one that I'll give is 60% of Black people occupy 10 states. 60% of us are in California, Illinois, Virginia, Maryland, Texas, Florida, and there's a few other states. And every one of those states is a seaboarding state, so we should control the port. We get paid every time something comes in. We get paid every time something goes out. But I do want to say this, though. No Black person gets reparations if they're married or dating outside of the race. No reparations if you are a snow bunny hopper, because what good am I giving you reparations for your ancestors and you're going to take that money right to a white man or a white woman? How is that helping us for you to take the reparations and give it right back to the people we got it from? So if you are a snow bunny hopper, you do not get reparations. Black power.
Well, on that note, we're going to go to news, traffic, and weather. And when we come back, more from Dr. Ifatunde on WVON 1690. You're listening to The Afternoon Show.
That's a caveat. It's going to be a bunch of people breaking up on that. It's been nice. This is great. Or they're going to wake up like, you know what?
But you know what? I ain't too sure, brother. I ain't too sure. I think a lot of Black men who date out the race, if they have to choose between reparations and the white girl, I think they stand with her.
Because they think that is their
Yes,
reparations.
yes. Yeah. They will give up the money to be with a white woman. I truly believe that.
It validates them.
Yes.
If you're giving them a gold brick for that white woman, and they would rather have the white woman than the gold brick,
I believe a lot of them would. I believe a lot of them would.
That's what I wanted to get into. We didn't, because we kind of touched on it earlier. I wanted to talk about, why do you think we are so... Because our relations are just terrible.
They are.
There's so many people
that
are giving relationship advice, and there's so many platforms that are successful based on dysfunction.
I agree.
Right?
It's the conflict.
Right.
Black culture, modern day American African culture is based on conflict.
Right.
If you want to sell, you have to be beefing with somebody. That's the reality show. That's rap music. That's R&B. That's everything we do. The community. Where's the fight at? We want to see a good fight between Blacks, and it's a big reason for why we can't move forward.
Yeah, I'm really disheartened at the state of our relationships, where we find ourselves, the inherent distrust between Black women and Black men, and Black men and Black women, and everyone's guarded, and everyone has their guards up, and no one trusts, and everyone assumes the worst.
Yes.
And we have to get to the point that some people are willing to be vulnerable, that some people are willing to take a chance.
Yes.
And some people are willing to have some grace.
Yes.
And our inability to operate in grace with each other, honestly, very deeply concerns
I agree.
me.
And I want to speak from the women's standpoint. Like, women don't like me, okay? When I say this, women are mismanaging the lives of their children. They're only raising them on one side of the story, and when they do so, they have this what I would call hero syndrome. They want the child to believe that because of me, you are this, and that is a problem, because now you would tell a man, I don't want anything from you, just so you can go work 2 jobs and say you did that.
Yes.
That's a problem.
Yes.
I know, it's cool.
Yeah.
We're having conversations about what women think, and women are having conversations about what men think.
As opposed to
they're
having
not
that conversation
coming
together.
Yeah, and having the conversation. Now, when I have conversations with women, I learn things that I was clueless of.
That's powerful.
Instead of trying to see through my own eyes and through my own mind when I have these conversations, but and vice versa. They learn things from me that they weren't aware of.
Powerful.
But if we don't come together and have these conversations, and sometimes it might be uncomfortable, but I think they need to be had amongst each other.
And the other point to that, when you look at a lot of the online relationship podcast conversations, they do have men and women, but the conversation is extremely superficial. You follow me?
Yeah,
it's about looks, how much money. It's very superficial. You know, popping a balloon.
Yeah.
You know, it's very surface.
I love that show.
I do too.
And it is like, why'd you pop the balloon? I didn't like your shoes.
I didn't like your
right?
Like,
it is very superficial.
Yes.
But it's highly entertaining.
It is. But the thing that's bothered me the most is our children are watching this.
Come on.
I'm like, what is a 7
They don't
and
have
8?
a chance.
You see what I'm saying? You 7 and 8. When I was 7 and 8, I never saw a group of Black men arguing with a group of Black women I never saw that as a. So I'm like, these children today are seeing all this toxic interaction between the genders. By the time they're 25, they're gonna throw up their hands.
That's something really powerful. You talked about not changing the system, but abandoning the system.
Yes, sir.
And that's a conversation that no matter what conversation we end up having on this show, oftentimes it distills to one of these 2 points. Do we integrate or do we segregate? Mm-hmm. And I'd love to ask you this question. This is completely unscripted. We didn't know this was going to happen, but I think you're the perfect person to ask. Do you think that integration was more helpful or more harmful to the Black initiative and the Black agenda?
Great question. Do I think integration was more harmful or helpful to the Black agenda? Integration was done to dissipate Black economic power. When they saw Rosewood in Charleston and all these independent Black communities, they said, we have to break this up. This is a threat to our economic control. So that's why they desegregated. Here's the problem. They never integrated. They only desegregated. They removed barriers to access. Nobody made you move to the white neighborhood. They said you could. Nobody said you got to send your child to the white school. They said you could. Nobody said you had to stop going to the Black hospital. They just gave you the right to go to the white one. Nobody forced us. Black people voluntarily abandoned our own institutions because we wanted to be accepted by white people. There's a conversation that we don't like to have about as African people, not us here, but as a community. Too many Black people are only interested in white validation and white approximation. And the third one, white imitation. We want to be validated by Caucasians. We want to be close to them, approximation, and we want to imitate them in everything that we do. Until you deal with the need for Negroes to approximate whites, be validated by whites, and imitate whites, this is going to be an issue. Nobody made us give up our own. We voluntarily did it. Do you know we once owned and operated more than 500 hospitals? Yeah. 500! You can hardly count 5 now. You know why? Because the minute white people say you can come and have your baby at this white hospital that didn't let you in there for hundreds of years, we ran. Because although we built Black Wall Street, it was out of necessity. If white people allowed us to freely participate in this society at the end of slavery, I don't think you ever get a Black Wall Street. I don't think you ever get a Black Wall Street. If they never kept us out, I don't think you ever get a Black Wall Street.
All right, let's go to the phone lines. Oh my goodness.
Fire.
That's a very, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that perspective and that angle. Brother
Yes,
Chris,
sir.
you are on WVO.
Hey, Brother Chris.
Well, Africa is the origin of civilization, so I don't think it's difficult to find out what Black people invented and what they did not. I think the question is more of what did we not invent? Most genres of music can be traced to the African continent, my brother. I'm not interested in who's not Black. I'm only interested in African people. Wakanda doesn't exist. There's no country called Wakanda, my brother. Well, they can just take a DNA test and see if we came out of Africa now. Oh, I agree with you there. I completely believe that what we are entitled to and what we are asking for and what we expect, you tend to only get after war. That's very true. That's very true. Why do people fight wars? People fight wars for land and resources. Both world wars were fought for land and resources. What does that have to do with your previous point?
Thank you.
You jumping all over the place, my brother. Black power. You jumping all over the place.
This is our last break for the segment.
Man.
I know. It was a good one. But again, it's important that we be able to have dissenting point of view.
Yes, disagree without being disagreeable.
Right. And have that exchange.
Or disrespectful. We don't want to do that.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Thank you. So let's go out. We'll be right back with phone lines are still open, 773-591-1690. Give us a call, and we're here with Dr. Umar. We'll be right back. And as I say that, I'm closing the phone lines.
Man, that's a wild boy there.
You wild all
You know,
time.
Joe is usually kind of on point. That's why I gave him so much latitude. He's normally one of our more astute callers.
I got you.
I didn't see that, and I was trying really hard to understand the root of his issue.
I got you.
And I still never got it.
He's like, this is my moment.
Yeah.
This is my moment.
Yeah, he went from Black Wall Street to the homie.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
I never got the root of it, and I hate that.
Oh, any other room? Let me get my chicken.
Ah, go ahead, Queen. You good in there, Princess?
Yes.
Pleased to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I'm Logan.
So what's the toughest part of you being a program manager? He's a personality referee.
Yes. I got it. I got this is what I've learned.